Hello everyone. So right now I'm going to show you guys why the opposite of squaring a number is finding the square root of that number. And this is an actual really cool concept here. So let's take a look here. So we have x squared is equal to 16. And this x squared is actually referring to a literal square. So what does this mean? So as you can see, this 16 represents the area of the square. So you see the 16. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 little squares, which means that the area of this square is 16. And this x squared is asking, what is the side length of the square for which the area is 16? Once again, let me say that one more time. What is the length or the side of the square for which the area is 16? So the area is 16. What is the length, right, of that square? Because this x right here, x times x is x squared. Once again, x times x, this also is x right here. X times x is x squared. You see this x squared? X times x will give you the area, right? X times x is equal to x squared. But also just one x is just the length of the square. Okay, so that's very important. So once again, this is saying that the length of the square, what is the length of the square for which the area is 16? So we want to find the length, okay? Obviously from this diagram we see that it's 4. But if we didn't have this diagram, what we would do is we would take the square root. And the reason why is we take the square root is because finding the square root of a number is finding the length of the square. So when we find the square root of this area of a square, which is 16, we're actually getting the length of the square. And the reason why we do it to both sides is because if I take square root on one side, I have to do to the square root on the other side. Remember to keep the equation balanced. And so as you can see, square root of 16 is 4. And when you take the square root of x squared, you actually just get the length, which is the x. And it actually cancels the 2. So this 2 gets canceled out this by square root. And that's what I'm saying. That the opposite of squaring a number, so the opposite of squaring a number is finding the square root of that number, finding the square root of that number. And that's why in order for us to get rid of this square, to undo it, we take the square root. Okay, it's going from finding the area to finding the length. And then obviously this 4 represents the length of the side of the square. So that's basically how this works here. And I want to show you guys another example that's going to help explain this a little bit better. So we got this, we have this equation, which is the same equation as this right here, just switched around a little bit. So if you guys take a look, 16 is equal to x squared, right? But 16 is the same thing as what? 4 squared. So this statement is actually the same thing as this statement right here. And so what I do is, like I did before, I take the square root of both sides. So if I take the square root of both sides, right, I did it here and this is here. This statement is exactly the same thing as this statement, is because 4 squared is in fact equal to 16. And so square root of 16 is 4, square root of x squared is x, right? And so let me tell you why exactly when you square root a number, or square root a square right here, it gets rid of it. So as you can see, square root of 16 is equal to 4. 4 squared is what? 16. 16. But 6 square root of 16 is just 4. So 4 squared, square root of 4 squared is just 4, right? Once again, 4 squared is what? 16. But square root of 16 is just 4, right? So let's take a look. 4 squared is just 16. Square root of 16 is just what? 4, right? And so as you can see, how did I get rid of this square? by square rooting it. So when I square root a square, that square goes away. Same with this x squared right here. If I get rid of, or if I square root a square, it gets rid of it. It cancels it out. That's why a square root of a number squared, that number disappears, or that square disappears. Therefore, 4 is equal to x. So I hope that helps. A lot of times when we learn these mathematical operations, such as taking a square root of both sides, we don't know why it happens. But I think being able to do this, we can find out why it happens, and being able to explain it like this shows us exactly how it all works. So hope that helped, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.